I think there are understandable concerns about the role of SCOTUS right now, not just in the nature of their decisions or how some of the justices got on the court, but how little they seem to care about even pretending to be basing these decisions on some sort of conservative, textualist interpretation of the Constitution, or even acknowledging that prior precedent exists. There was a random tweet, I know, but I really liked it, from Aaron, who says the Supreme Court decided against gay rights in a case that didn't involve any gay people, and against debt forgiveness in a case where the lenders were fine with the issue. They're not acting like judges, they're acting like an unelected super legislature that can't be checked. And I want to reiterate that sort of point as much as possible, because that is by design what they're intended to be. I mean, a case could be made that historically that's what they were always intended to be. But in particular, the strategy for about a half a century by the Republican Party has been to set them up to do exactly that, to just sit like gargoyles decade after decade, put in those positions, not by virtue of the fact that the people support Republican politicians, but by virtue of the fact that they can get the Senate seats that they need, and they can squeak by presidential elections thanks to the nature of the Electoral College, the fact that rural states have exaggerated influence over both of those things. And then even if they lose the House constantly, even if they can never win the popular vote, then they always have that as an ace up their sleeve, and that's how they're using it. By the way, I just want to quickly note that no good point can go undumbed down on Twitter. So that tweet was replied to by Mike Rinaldi, who says, and Biden wasn't acting like an unelected legislature when unilaterally eliminating a student debt. It's a good point. It's a good point. Undercut a little bit by the fact that he was elected to his position. What are you talking about? That's like the core of your point. There are elections for president.
This is like Tim Pool smoothie points, where your brain is so dumb that you just think that this word cloud you've generated is smart, because afterwards you go, ooh, got him. That's not an argument. None of that makes any sense. I understand that it sounds smart to you, and I say this with love, but you're dumb.
Yeah, good try, but you failed. Anyway, that's a reference there to the Supreme Court ruling in favor of a designer who didn't want to make wedding websites for gay couples. Of course, the designer, we also find out this week, hadn't been asked to make any wedding sites for gay couples because they didn't make any wedding sites for anyone. But to generate this case, they faked requests from gay couples. They literally lied. That came out, and the SCOTUS still ruled in their favor, which is amazing. Here's a bit of the dissent from Sonia Sotomayor. Today, the court, for the first time in its history, grants a business open to the public a constitutional right to refuse to serve members of a protected class. Specifically, the court holds the First Amendment exempts a website design company from a state law that prohibits the company from denying wedding websites to same-sex couples if the company chooses to sell those websites to the public. The court also holds that the company has a right to post a notice that says no wedding websites will be sold if they will be used for gay marriages. And based on the decision, what is the difference between the new right that has been given that allows one protected class, gay individuals, to be openly discriminated against, even for you to advertise that you discriminate against them, and other protected classes? Now, in practice, I have no doubt that the court is going to protect the interests of certain protected classes over others. That's what they've always done. But intellectually, judicially, yeah, I don't want to make websites for Jewish people. I don't want to make websites for Black Americans. I don't want to make websites for people from the south of France. What's the difference? Creed, national origin, religious, disability status, sexuality. Flame on. You can do whatever you want now. That right is now open, and it's all a matter of interpretation. So that's going to be really fun for a lot of people going forward, Brett.
This is the most frustrating thing, because if you listen to like the question time in the Supreme Court, it's all hypotheticals like this. And the one John gave you, it sounds exactly like the reason that anyone in their right mind, the answer would be like, oh, you can't just use your religion to justify denying service to someone. Like Jim Jeffries sat down with Jordan Peterson and got him tied up on this exact line of questioning. What's the difference between denying a gay family and denying someone who's of a race you don't like? And even Jordan Peterson was like, I may have spoken too soon. I was a little bit wrong about that. It's because it's that obvious. And it comes to the only conclusion I can draw, which is what I said earlier. The kind of person who is basically perfect for the apparatus that chooses Supreme Court candidates. So basically minor league ball to get to the majors of becoming a Supreme Court. The best kind of person to choose is like a weird religious fanatic who really who grew up rich. That's it. That's who you pick. And that's who these decisions benefit. It is crazy. Like if I start, and that's why I love the Church of Satan, unfortunately named, but the Church of Satan always is just like, all right, cool, we're a religion, and we think we should deny service to all Christians.
Yeah. 100%.
And how does that make you feel? And their brains just turn into jello, as if they weren't already.
Yeah,
because it's just insane. What kind of an America do you want? Do you want an America where you can make up BS reasons that your religion doesn't actually state, that you just made up, so that you can be discriminatory to other people? That's not an America I want. No one's foisting this upon you. You can still go think that they're evil people, but you can't refuse them service in a way that puts gay people, right, being gay, up there with something that's as disrespectful to your establishment as wearing no shoes and no shirt.
Yeah. The entire thing is just incredibly frustrating.
Get him, John. Let loose. There's a dragon in you that wants to start screaming. Breathe that fire, John.
No, we don't have time, but yeah, I will remind people though, when they set up a precedent wherein they can discriminate against gay people, and then we point out that there is no difference between that and then discriminated against white evangelical Christians. The issue with that, it's true, it's right, but also it might bother some of them briefly, but bear in mind, they're not trying to set up a principle. They're trying to set up a position of superiority. They are perfectly fine with the system allowing discrimination against gay people and explicitly banning discrimination against evangelical Christians. They're not interested in setting up a standard that applies to everyone. They're interested in a system that elevates their inherent born demographic characteristics. That's it.
And they admit it
when
when
we
we ask them.
but that doesn't change the nature of the Supreme Court.
And the fact is, when Michael Schur and David Schuster go to these rallies and ask the voters what they want, they admit that straight up.
It's a good point. Okay, very fast before we move on, Jordan has a great thread that everyone should go to Twitter and look at. The Daily Caller, right-wing rag, puts up this tweet: the Supreme Court has blocked Biden's student loan giveaway. See, it's a giveaway. These students think they should just be given money. And he points out the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that were given and then forgiven to the Daily Caller. A giveaway to the tune of over $1 million in freebie money. But again, they're fine with the hypocrisy because the system allows rich people like them, backed by millionaires and billionaires, to get free money and then crush students under their heel. It's good. It's good work by Jordan. By the way, he's also, the thread is him taking all these Republican congressmen who are like so happy about this and then pointing out all of the hundreds of thousands that they got in those loans. It's true of virtually all of them. So everyone go check out @JordanEwell.
Yeah, and I would just want to say, like, in this situations, corporations aren't people, I guess. Like you don't want to forgive people for their for their loans, but you do want to forgive corporations. I thought corporations were people, and if you're treating all people equally, you would forgive them all, I guess. They're in situations that are unfair explicitly, like COVID, and then just the insane position that everybody's in when they have to they want to go to college to get ahead, but it's so damn expensive because of the same kind of things that cause inflation now, which is kind of like greed.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.